Nissan has had a really busy year because in the last 18 months, 50% of their model lineup has been refreshed.
Look, there may still be some question marks around their improved and refreshed passenger vehicles, but one thing they've always been popular with are their SUVs.
Well, especially the old Qashqai, which we love and often recommend on Buyer's Guide. The new Qashqai was released earlier this year, but we just didn't get a chance to test it.
But what has been recently launched is the all-new Nissan X-Trail, and it looks very, very different to the old one.
But it looks very similar to the Qashqai.
Possible problem. People might say, well, why have Qashqai when I have an X-Trail or vice versa?
Exactly, especially with their very closely linked pricing. We're going to find out.
The first surprise is just how much bigger than the Qashqai the X-Trail actually is when you park them side by side. Both are larger than their predecessors, the X-Trail substantially so, with an extra 5mm length and 30mm width. Qashqai and X-Trail are both now much more designed than before, and we think it's great to see Nissan developing a family face. They look very similar from the front, but at the rear the Qashqai certainly has the edge.
The biggest difference though with the new X-Trail is that it has a 75mm longer wheelbase than the old one, which means much more legroom in the back. 20% more, in fact.
Yeah, look, I mean, they've always had a 7-seater option, and let's be honest, you're probably going to get sold with this car because you're not going to get out. But I kind of am in a fairly comfortable position. I know you aren't.
Yeah, look, these are definitely, I mean,
occasional seats.
Third row is always for kiddies, we know that. So it's going to be, if you have 4 kids or 5 kids and you need to do the school run every day, it's perfect for that. But if you don't have the third row of seats up, the legroom in the back is actually very, very good. What
impresses me the most as well, and something which you didn't have on the old X-Trail, is that the seats now slide forward and they recline. So you can really get yourself in a comfortable position. So if you really need a 7-seater, there is that option, but I think the 5-seater is going to be the way to go. 550-litre boot is massive.
Well, and particularly thinking, since we've got Qashqai here as well, you really notice that extra space in terms of legroom when you sit in the back of the Qashqai, because Qashqai no longer comes as a +2.
So that's actually pretty clever from Nissan's perspective, because they really now do differentiate between Qashqai and X-Trail.
So the X-Trail wins on the practicality front, although space offered by the Qashqai is not to be sniffed at. They're also both nicely spec'd from the base models, with Qashqai starting at 281,900 and the X-Trail entry-level 2-litre XE manual at 327,000 Rand. That'll give you things like a multifunction steering wheel, cruise control and manual air conditioning. The models we're driving have electrically adjustable seats, start-stop functionality, and in the X-Trail, the Nissan All-Mode 4x4i system, which provides 3 modes, controlled by a rotary dial in the center console. This 1.6 DCI also has a power tailgate, with sensors for touch-free opening.
Finally, I get to drive the all-new Qashqai. It's been a long wait. The old Qashqai was like my favorite compact SUV, and you know why? Besides having quirky styling, I just loved the way the car drove. It wasn't overtly sporty. It really loved South Africa's tricky road conditions, and it's no different with the new Qashqai. In fact, it's just better.
We're driving in the top spec X-Trail. It's a 1.6 DCI engine with 96 kilowatts and 320 Newton meters of torque. You've also got 2 petrols available in X-Trail. There's a 2.5 and a 2-litre. This model is a 4-wheel drive. I have to say, we did drive the 2-wheel drive 1.6 version on launch as well, and the weight difference seemed quite pronounced. So unless you're really going to use the X-Trail for off-roading, save your money and buy the 1.6 2-wheel drive.
They have brought out 3 engines, a little 1.2 turbo petrol engine, which is the one that we're in, and then the part where I'm a bit baffled, the other 2 engines are both diesel. A 1.5, which we know from the old Qashqai was brilliant, it's been reworked, and then of course the 1.6 diesel. Maybe one diesel is enough, and that 1.6 would be my pick. 96 kilowatts, 320 Newton meters is plenty. The petrol we're in, 85, 190 Newton meters. Fantastic for driving every day around the town, whether you're in Joburg or at the coast, is going to do its job. It is slightly underpowered, especially if you think you might be having passengers in your car, which quite easily you could do in the Qashqai because it has all the space. And it comes with a 5-star Euro NCAP rating, so super safe on the road. Traction control, stability control, hill start assist, you name it, it's got it. So this is happy, safe motoring.
X-Trail comes with all the safety spec and tech that Qashqai has, and it also adds active ride control, which basically evens out the road. Great for us with our potholes, it really does work. As well as active trace control, which breaks the wheel that needs it most on bends. Essentially it just improves the handling on the car, helps with understeer, and that also is available on Qashqai. The new X-Trail is a very refined ride compared to the old one. It is a lot more SUV-like in its handling and its composure on the road, and a great everyday drive.
While this is the third generation X-Trail, Qashqai is only on its second iteration, and this model has some really big shoes to fill. The previous gen was a big seller for Nissan, topping 2 million units since launch worldwide in 2007. X-Trail, on the other hand, has sold 1.7 million since it was first introduced in 2001. Perhaps this will be the model that sees it catch up in the internal sales charts.
When it comes to the interior, Nissan has really spent a lot of time upgrading the materials and the feel of sitting behind the wheel.
Yeah, I love the layout. I think it's quite apparent that their association with their upmarket Infinity brand, and obviously the partnership with Renault as well, has certainly paid dividends across all the brands. It's very, very logically laid out. That's what I like.
It feels a lot more premium than the old model. The sort of piano black, I don't know, what have you got? You've also got piano black. It's really nice.
And you've got additional options if you want to spend more money buying things like Techno Pack, which is going to give you
sat nav,
navigation, iTouch, compatible with, you know, whether you're on Android or operating system, iPhone. Really, really cool. And those are options. But you've got everything you want as standard.
And the seats are really, really comfortable as well. Nice place to be.
One Big Mac, supersized, and a small cheeseburger.
Sure.
Nissan is pushing the mantra that it's about innovation and excitement. They want their cars to live up to the expectations that buyers have of them. I think with these two new models, they could well be pleasantly surprised, as both seem leaps ahead of their predecessors.
We thought we were so clever, you know. We had found this fatal flaw in Nissan's marketing. And then we got here and it didn't quite work out. We weren't so bright after all.
Absolutely, because we thought X-Trail, Qashqai look the same kind of size, same kind of price, but it's only when you get them together though, then you realize how different they really are.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, the old X-Trail was never a car that I was going to go, wow, that thing's really beautiful. It was so different in looks to the new one. It's a massive departure when you get here. And driving it, it just feels a lot more compact in the Qashqai. Both flippin' competent vehicles. I love them, I really do.
Yeah. Excellent on-road driving, really nice to look at now. I mean, I wasn't fond of either of the previous versions. And a great choice, I think, is the biggest thing, is that now perhaps you weren't looking at a Nissan before because they didn't have quite what you were looking for. Nissan has now got an SUV from 280,000 Rand up to 500, depending on what your needs are.
But importantly, if you look at their competitors, they are very, very keenly priced. They've done a good job with that.
Excellent. Which one are you taking?
Oh, it's tough to choose because they're appealing to such different markets. But for me, 1.6 diesel engine is fantastic in both of them. But I love the old Qashqai and the new one's just better. That would be my pick.
I think I'm with you. That Qashqai, the 1.2 is just a little bit underpowered. So as a daily run around the 1.6 diesel. And if you want a little bit of extra space and you are actually going to go off-road, X-Trail.